And a good Thursday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you. We're so grateful to have you, and we hope that you're have had a good day today. And we are grateful to have this good fella, good man. Now, I've heard him called other names, but we're going to give you the nice names we've heard him called. The one and only Tony Branco back with us, comicallyincorrect.com. He's going to fall out of his chair. I got his website right for a change. On the first try tonight. It's good to see you, man. So much going on in the country, and it's always a pleasure to have y'all. Just welcome you, and we'll get right to it. How are you tonight?
I am doing great, and yourself?
I'm doing well.
Looking good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'll take that at my age. When I walk past graveyards these days, men chase me with shovels. So if somebody tells me that I look all right, Branco, I'm okay with that.
I'm getting close to being a coffin dodger myself.
A coffin dodger, yes.
Yeah.
But we get our age, we laugh at ourselves. I've learned to laugh at myself a lot, and so it's it's all good.
You have to.
Man, I tell you, as I was talking to you before the show, we've got one big mess. I want to first off start with you tonight about this crazy thing that went on yesterday with these 6 Democrats that went out, including a retired Air Force man, Mark Kelly. My brother's retired Air Force too.
Yeah.
It was appalling that these 6 Democrats basically told the military that they do not have to obey a direct order from President Trump, and literally called for an uprising if they don't like an order, and called Trump Hitler, basically, that Trump's doing things to trample under the Constitution, yada yada yada, the same Democrat crap. And then Trump calls them out on it today, and he basically says that that they did was punishable by death. And then the feathers started cackling, that like the hens always do when these people are called out on this stuff. They're claiming that Trump's calling for the death of elected officials. Chuck Schumer melted down tonight, and others, which Trump didn't call for the death of any official. What he said was that what they did, according to the law under the Constitution that they claim they're protecting, Tony, is punishable by death. And he's exactly right. And I'm just curious what you think about this, because I think this is this has been the playbook of the Dems going back 30 years. And they have hated this nation. They do not care for this country. They do not care for this Constitution. We're going to talk about Mendami tonight. We haven't talked to you since this hideous election of this New York mayor, this socialist, communist, jihadist kid that don't have a brain in his body. But he's going to be running the biggest city in the world, and But we're in dark times, man. But these Dems, do you think? I started asking you the question. Do you think that was insurrection? What they did? I firmly believe it was.
Sedition.
Sedition.
Close to treason. It's just it bewildered. What it is that it's Trump. Had it been anybody else, Republican or Democrat, I believe. Of course, they've always picked on the Republican, no matter who. Even George Bush, they were all evil, always going after him, always accusing him of everything. But Trump, they've taken it to a new level. They hate him so bad that nothing's off the table for these people. They feel they can slander him. They feel that they can just about accuse him of, abuse ethical standards, lawfare. And then they think Trump is so evil that they can go after all of his constituents and anybody that's had anything to do with Trump, lawyers. I mean, remember back when they, that attorney-client privilege, they just threw that out the window. So there's nothing off the table for these Democrats. And they've been doing it for 10 years. And then finally, they didn't expect him to get back in power, first of all.
That's true.
They didn't expect that. So, but now that he is in power and he's using justice, he's coming after him within the bounds of the law for all their seditious behavior, which what they did to him with lawfare and all these attorneys and the DOJ, what they did was third world country kind of stuff. And so it's about time. Yeah, I
Me and you were joking about that before the show. That that we were joking that this kind of stuff only goes on in third world countries. And I think you made that statement. You said the Democrats are a third world. That's what they want, is a third world dictatorship in this nation. Go ahead.
Yep. They want to destroy the country so that they can rule over the ashes. Chaos,
so
whatever it takes. And those 7 senators or officials that came out there with that seditious behavior to tell military people to not obey the commander in chief. I've never seen that before. I've never seen it. And how in the world can they how in the world can they do that and feel that they're okay with it? Well, because they hate Trump. And like I said, everything's off the table for these people.
Well, I did want to ask you, do you think, I know Trump, and again, Trump's been in office. He was in office for 4 years. He's been in office a year. He's basically 5 years now. And I think most of us on the right, we understand Trump. Trump's going to say what's on his mind. He's not going to hold back. He's going to just let it all hang out. That's been Trump. We should get used to that by now. It's not like it's something new. But do you believe that Bondi will try to pursue this, or is this going to be one of these news stories for a few days? It'll blow over, let the Dems hit their forks on the little baby table and throw their little baby piece at the camera, or do you think that Bondi should pursue this? I don't know if Trump's in a unique position, Tony, that he was not in the first time. He was running for re-election the first time. He's got nothing to lose in the next 3 years. And I'm going to just go ahead and say this, and I'll get your take on this. He's got a chance to clean D.C. out and get these swamp creatures out of D.C. and remove this rebellion. It's rebellion to me. It is nothing but seditious rebellion against the rule of law. They always claim Trump's trampling under the Constitution. I saw Fetterman out there tonight, and he's saying, well, this is unacceptable, and threatening people's lives and death is unacceptable. Trump was not threatening lives. He basically stated a legal principle. You commit sedition against your country, it's got the death penalty to it. And I think he should pursue it. I'm not saying pursue the death penalty, but I think these people need to be put on notice. This is unacceptable behavior. And one quick thing, and I'll give it to you. At the very minimum, these 6 congressmen should have their blank sides kicked out of Congress. They should not be congressmen and representing the United States of America. That's minimum.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, it's prevalent across the nation. Judges, senators, governors are all coming after him in a way that I've never seen before. And something should be done. I'm not sure what you should do, but those senators that came out and pretty much were seditious, if not insurrectionists, they didn't specify what laws that they should disobey. They just did a blanket unconstitutional. How many soldiers out there really know what's unconstitutional or what is or whatever? There were plenty of times when Obama did things that were questionable. Nobody came out and said, we need to have a mutiny against Obama. There were plenty of things that Biden did that were questionable, but nobody came out and said, you need to stand up to the commander in chief. Right. I think Milley was the only one that said he was going to call China and let them know if we were going to attack them or not. Yeah. Well,
and I will say this, about the military, and I'm opening up a sore subject for some. There were some in the Q movement, which this QAnon movement, that was thinking that Trump should have been enacted some kind of, I don't know what it was, 1787 Act or whatever, some crazy gloom bomb stuff. And when these election things happened, that he should have called the military in, and people were calling for stuff to hit the street, and I found that very dangerous. I found it dangerous then. I find it dangerous tonight. I don't care if the Republicans doing it or the Democrats doing it. This is not the way you want your country ran. We do not want the military involving themselves in our government. And again, Tony, I go back to these third world countries, my friend. This is what communist nations do. This is what backwood countries do with no kind of sense. And I don't care what party's doing it. And I don't think the Republicans are quite. Let me change that. The Q movement was not without fault, because they did this, because they thought Trump should do it when they didn't get their way, and we just keep going back and forth. I don't think these Dems did what they did was right. They should be held to an account. Look, it wasn't anybody in our government. I'll agree with you that the government didn't do it. There was nobody in Trump's government calling for it, but there was sure this Q movement. But these were government officials doing it last night. This is the difference. This is government officials.
That's a big difference, because we can all have opinions.
That's exactly right.
Opinions are worth what they are, and freedom of speech is there. But when you have government officials coming out and advocating for treason or sedition, that's a whole nother ballgame. And it just keeps going back to where Democrats, it seems like they're trying to spur on a revolution or a civil war or violence. All their words, everything that they've said about Trump being Hitler, being Nazis, is all wording to give you permission to go out and attack these people. And look what's happened to Charlie Kirk. Trump has been 2 attempts on his life, assassination attempts. This is all provoked by people that are kind of on the edge, and we have them on both sides.
We do.
But
we do.
When you're constantly telling people that they're Nazis and Hitler, if it goes back to that question, if you go back in time and kill Hitler, would you do it? And a lot of people have said yes. So if you can frame Trump and MAGA as Hitler or Nazis, it lets those loonies. And the Democrats aren't holding back on any of this violent rhetoric.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
They're not stopping it. They're not telling people to calm down. They're going with it, because they think if they can get people out in the streets like you did in 2020 and 21, burning down cities and everything, then they can move in and save the day, or some weird, strange thing. But a lot of this stuff comes from the left. It's been prevalent throughout history. This kind of stuff comes from the left. You look at Russia, the revolution, you look at a lot of these different countries, and it all goes back to Islam. Islam's a big one, and they're combined forces with the communists. And we need to pray for our country, because it's not going to get any better. Absolutely,
man. I tell you, you just hit something on the head right now. Speaking of the Islamic situation, I want to ask you what's going to happen in New York City. Do you really believe that a majority of New York City, I'm talking about the city, because the state, this was a city election. Do you truly believe that Mamdani was that popular? Has New York City gone so bad? Because it goes back to you praying for our nation. And I can't get around this. And I know people don't agree with this, because I hear this all the time. They want to say, well, elections are stolen and there was shenanigans and all that. I'm not going to sit here and argue the shenanigans, and not going to elect the corrupt elections with you. If you want to believe that, believe it. But this is the thing. You cannot escape the fact that nearly 2.5 million people didn't even go out and vote in New York City, Tony. And then you got to also understand that you got a young people. He captured the heart of the young people, and captured the heart of those voters in New York City. He won by a landslide. When you get down to it, he won by a landslide over Cuomo. Do you really believe that the New York Cityans are grasping what they're about to have happen to them come January? I mean, buddy, we're talking medieval Sharia going back to 600 AD, man. We talking about something that we've never seen. You mentioned a while ago, you said something that sort of jolted me a little bit, and you're right. I've never seen what we saw yesterday with congressmen calling for the military to go against the president. But I don't think I've ever seen a city elect a jihadi Tony, that believes in Sharia law, and they're teaching the police department's already out there teaching people how to wear hijabs. I mean, come on, man.
Well, I think it gets down to an uneducated electorate. The voters are just not educated in what communism is anymore. I learned about communism in school. It was horrible. Mm-hmm. They showed the amount of deaths that happened. They showed the kind of country it was. They showed that I learned at an early age that when communism comes, they promise all kinds of equal opportunity, equal this, equal that. It ends up everybody's equally miserable. Same with Islam. Islam's coming in with a similar type of thing, but Islam is coded in a kind of a religious thing. So they always masquerade their politics in Muslim Islam religion when it's not. It's more of a political push to take over any particular country. And I just think that these young people are just ignorant to it. They're not learning it in school. They're not learning it even in college. You have a bunch of Marxist professors. They're not going to tell people how bad communism is.
Absolutely.
So that's the problem. And I think that's pervasive across the nation. We need to start educating our kids. I know conservatives are educating their kids in this, but there are so many parents out there that, all they do is come home from work, watch a little TV, send their kids to bed, get their kids off to school in the morning, have no idea what they're being taught. And I've seen heartbreaking stories where Christian families have sent their kid off to college only to have them come return on vacation Marxists. So how did that happen? They didn't instill enough education in them to combat this, and that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, but I think the unfortunately it's like a pebble that you throw in a pond and you see the ripple, boom, 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 boom. Where's New York City going to be in 4 years? I mean, I'm scared to ask that question, man. I mean, yeah. I think I know this much. I think that there is some buyer's remorse a little bit, because I've noticed some of the media has all of a sudden started asking serious questions now all of a sudden. It's like they've woken up to the fact, oh my God, This guy actually got elected, and he's going to threatening to arrest Bibi Netanyahu and threatening to, there was a terrible attack. We're going to see it on the Late Show. You folks be with us later tonight. But there was a synagogue tonight in Park East that got attacked, and it looked like 1938 Kristallnite, Tony. It would look like something, people were busting windows out, and it goes back to scenes of Nazi Germany in New York City, and I just predict that it's going to get worse. I think that those kind of scenes are going to get harder or more intense, because he's going to dismantle the police. He don't want the police. He don't want the law. He claims he does, but he is such a chameleon, and he is such a liar, and just an absolute. We cannot forget he's 33. Again, we're not talking about some seasoned 50-year-old, 60-year-old man that's had some sense. This kid is a kid. He's just a kid.
He's just a kid, and their ideology. When you're entrenched in this ideology, common sense and reality are removed. They have to find out the hard way that ideology isn't always effective in every case, and never when it comes to communism. It always ends up a disaster. But I don't understand why throughout history we can see that communism is a disaster wherever it's tried. It never works, yet they just keep trying to do it, and they keep getting educated in how it can work and why it could work. It works only if you have a bunch of robot people that allow it to happen. But once it gets in, once communism comes in, and thank God it isn't in the United States yet, but once it's here, and the United States is communism, you're never going to get rid of it.
You won't get it back.
How bad?
That's exactly right.
No matter how bad it gets, no matter how many people starve, you're going to have to fight your way out of it, and that's going to be bloody.
Buddy, you just nailed it. We said that one night here a few months ago. We've been saying it really for a while. Once you lose your freedoms, once we lose this freedom and we lose our republic, to get it back, then you're going to have to fight your way out of it, because they will
look
not
how hard
give
it
power.
was. Look how hard it was to fight our way back when they did all this censorship on conservatives through
So true.
Facebook, Twitter,
Absolutely.
YouTube. They shut them down. We had to scrape. Scrape. People fortunately knew it enough to where they rose up underneath the ground and surprised a lot of liberals. But the reason for that is they wanted. That's what communists do. They silence their opposition, or they put them in jail, like they tried to do with Trump. Now, thank goodness and Elon Musk saw it happen. That's why he spent billions of dollars to buy Twitter, is to open up more communication with liberals and speech. And had he not done that, and Trump not opened up Truth Social, we would be done. And that would have ushered in Kamala, and Kamala would have
Totally
finished
believe
this
that.
nation off. We would be totally a communist state, I believe. We would not be able to pull our way out very easily anyway.
Yeah.
It would have gotten bloody.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree. I got to ask you, I got your cartoon up that you posted of him with the Minneapolis guy. See, that's another thing that people don't realize. It was like a ripple effect, Tony. This Fada or Theta, whatever his name is, in Minneapolis came within a hairbreadth of winning there. And then you had a 21-year-old socialist who's now the mayor of Seattle, Washington. I mean, what's going on in our nation? Have we failed that badly as adults? Have we failed? Did our generation fail this bad to protect freedom and tell these kids this stuff is nuts? Or did we? How did this happen? How did this happen to our nation? Other than short of losing our way with God, I know it's a spiritual matter.
Well, yeah.
But how did we let this happen?
Education. That, and I think our voting, our elections are screwed up. They're corrupt, especially in Washington
Absolutely.
State and Seattle.
Absolutely.
It's ever since they've come to mail-in voting, we have not even had a Republican even get close. The last one was Dino Rossi way back when, and he won originally, but they did a recount, and when he won again. So we need another recount. They found another pile of votes in a trunk of a car somewhere, and then he lost. Mm-hmm. See, that's the kind of thing that this mail-in voting, I don't agree with it. I think it's ripe with fraud, and we need to get rid of it. Same-day voting, paper ballots.
Totally agree, man. And I just want to make it clear to the audience what I said a while ago. I'm not that naive to believe that there's not cheating, and I think Tony's hitting on it. They used the mail-in ballot system in 2020 to steal this presidential election.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I'll just touch on this briefly. Dick Cheney was buried today. They had his funeral, and it was like a who's who of the rhinos and the elites. When you think about this, we had Rachel Maddow, Mike Pence, George Bush Jr., Dan Quayle, Al Gore. Bush and Gore were actually joking with each other. Kamala was there. Joe Biden was there. James Carville was there, of all people. Anthony Fauci was there, of all people, today. So it was like a who's who. And I got to ask you about Mike Pence. He was walking out, and he claims that there are so many people that are walking up to him thanking him for the fact that he did what he did in 2020 to quote unquote save the country. Do you believe that? Do you believe that?
I can believe he said that because he's been a rhino. He tried to keep it under wraps for a while, but 2020, had they not cheated in that election and allowed Trump to become president, he would not be president today. And coming back more fierce than ever, and more educated and more knowledgeable and less naive. So they screwed themselves.
They did us a favor. They did.
Yeah. So God works in mysterious ways.
I'll agree. I'll agree with that. Listen, the next thing I want to talk to you about, I'm going to put this cartoon up and this Akirus into this next segment tonight. You got a wonderful, absolutely wonderful cartoon with the donkey. Schumer is drowning in manure, and the Schumer shutdown, and I see the aroma of that coming up. See, McDonald is good. You need me to be alongside you on your podcast so I can explain these cartoons in Southern slang or Southern redneck talk, because the rednecks out there, they understand. I can, when they see this, I point out the things that most people have missed, but I see the aroma coming up from the manure pile. But now the donkey's pointing his finger to Epstein, Trump. And I was, I want to show another cartoon that has to do with that, because I love this one about the hoax. You had Russia here, and then you've got Russia marked out, and Epstein. That's all we've heard for the last 3 weeks, month now, 3 months. And it's amazing to me how the shutdown has been just forgotten about, that the Dems crippled this country for nearly a month over Obamacare. And all they seem to talk about is Epstein. I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Have you noticed that every time Trump's name is brought up in the same breath as Epstein, and the only thing they've got to hold their hat on is one photo? I have never seen any other photo but that one picture of him and Melania standing beside Epstein. And it was not, I think it was in Mar-a-Lago. It was some kind of event. It was a charity event. It was before Epstein was even charged with anything. He recognized this man as being evil. Trump did, long before his crimes and all this pedophilia started coming out. They never show any other pictures of Trump, but that one photo is their smoking gun. I've got a few things to say, but talk about this a minute, because I've got some other things I want to run by you. What's happened with Jasmine Crockett, what she did, and what Chris Murphy did. But go ahead and tell me what your thoughts are, because they have tried to make us forget, and we shouldn't, that the manure that we smell, the smell that we smell tonight coming from the Democrats, is because they tried to cripple the country, Tony, over this hideous Obamacare.
Yeah. Leverage. They called it leverage. All these kids starving on, going hungry on SNAP. They called it leverage, but it was a crap show, and I wanted to show what a crap show it is, and how it hurt them as a political party, of course. But what did they do as soon as they realized that they were deep in it? They start pointing to a debunked Epstein letter. There's absolutely no proof that Trump had anything to do with any of those evil things that Epstein did. Absolutely none. But that's the only thing they got. But that's their modus operandi. They look what they did with Russia. They had nothing on him. Nothing. But they just kept pounding that Russia collusion drum, and all the media were on board, to where a massive amount of people just started believing it. No proof, nothing. And the more they tried to find proof, the more it showed that Trump was innocent of it. Just like, remember what they did with his tax records?
Yes,
They kept for almost a year. We need to see his tax records. There's something there. There's something there. Rachel Maddow had a whole week dedicated to his tax. They come out flat, nothing there. That's what they do. Because they believe just bringing up false charges on him hurts him. And they're doing that. They're doing that with right now with those senators calling for our soldiers to be treasonous or seditious against Trump. They're doing it with the Epstein files, and it always comes out where Trump is clean, but they think they've left their mark. They want to destroy the country, rule over the ashes. I don't know.
Well, I predict that the new Epstein will be Trump wants us dead, Trump wants us dead, Trump wants us dead. Because that's what they're saying tonight. That's what the Dems are out there screaming about, that he's calling for the killing of officials. That's not what he's calling for. No, what he's calling...
You know they're going to do that.
Absolutely.
Take whatever little morsel and then blow it up like it's something.
Well, let me give you two quick examples. We talked about this actually this morning in our Bible study on our Faith Network. Chris Murphy, Friday, was in a think tank, and I'm trying to find the video. I saw the video on Laura Ingram's program last night, and he literally said that it was a shame and disgrace. Chris Murphy's words, not mine. It's a shame and disgrace that we've got a president that was trafficking kids along with Jeffrey Epstein. He literally said those words, exact words. Slander, Tony. That's nothing but slander. You get sued for stuff like that. You can't go out and say something about somebody like that in the John Q. Public without getting your backside sued for defamation of character and slander. No proof, mind you, no facts. He said that, and a lot of people just you could hear people in the background applauding because they believed the crap. And then if that wasn't, go ahead.
Sadly, they don't believe it. The person that accused him of that does not believe it himself.
I'll agree with that.
I can guarantee he doesn't. He just went in to use it to get impact, to get the sheep out there to believe it, because they'll believe anything. They've got him hating Trump so bad. He's the evil Hitler. They'll believe anything to hurt him.
Then you got Jasmine Crockett just tonight, or last night, on the Senate House floor, I should say, House, gets up and they're just salivating, like you're saying, they're just salivating on this list, thinking they're going to find, digging through it. She sees a paragraph that that she goes through the list and outlines all the Republican donors to Epstein that he gave money to, or they gave money to him, I guess, or whatever. And Lee Zeldin's name came up because Epstein was shown. And come to find out, she goes on the House floor and says, aha, even Lee Zeldin took money from Jeffrey Epstein. And Lee Zeldin tortures her on X today. He says, you genius. He says, I did take money from a Jeffrey Epstein, a Dr. Jeffrey Epstein in upstate New York, but I've never met the real Jeffrey Epstein. Now, instead of her going out and apologizing tonight, if you don't think this chick is as dumb as she makes me look like the smartest man on the universe. And I'm a redneck Southerner, Branco. I mean,
I'm a California Tar Heel.
Yeah, I'm just, we redneck Southerners, we love you to death. We're just adorable guys. We're just adorable folks. We just rednecks, But it makes me look like a genius. She goes out on CNN tonight, and instead of apologizing, and I predicted this morning, that she wouldn't apologize, and she didn't. You know what she did? She goes out there and denies it to CNN, and she says, well, I didn't say that he was taking money from the Jeffrey Epstein. I said he took money from a Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't think if these idiots do not believe that the video is out there, literally her saying that she was the whole diatribe was about the Jeffrey Epstein. Even CNN, the Crap News Network, Caitlin Collins, who was the Jim Acosta in her dress, was rolling her eyes and saying, Jasmine, you were saying this in relation to the Jeffrey Epstein, the whole thing you were talking about. So of
I didn't
course,
steal those cookies.
I didn't exactly.
Crumbs all over your face. I didn't steal those cookies.
Those two stories, though, I'm going to ask you something. Do you believe, which I believe you should, I think Trump should sue the living pants off of these two congressmen and send a freaking message that slander and defamation of character and false accusation and false witnessing is not acceptable behavior. There's a price to pay for it, Tony, because I'm going to tell you what that does. I know that most people may look at Jasmine Crockett as a nut, but the base don't. The Democrat base don't. They claim that this is their future. And there are people out there that hate Trump enough, like you said a while ago, you've been nailing it tonight. The hatred of Trump will cause people to believe everything that woman said and believe Murphy. They will believe it. And I tell you, I know how they believe it. They share it out as fact. They share it out as fact. Somebody needs to have their backside sued tonight.
Yeah. He's not beyond suing somebody. Look at BBC. He's going after them for altering that tape of him saying march to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. That speech, he's going after him, and he's suing him for a lot of money. They've also already fired some people from BBC.
Yes.
So he's not beyond it. whether or not what's going to happen because of that, I have no idea.
I totally agree. Do you think he should sue him?
I think he should. I mean, I don't know if he can sue Jasmine Crockett because if he can, he will. I'm sure he will if he can.
Lee Zeldin should. I mean, Lee needs to sue her. Lee should take her butt to court and sue her for that because that's defamation of character.
It is slander. You're right.
It's slander.
Yeah.
And they never get the apology. If she would have just humbled herself tonight and said, "Look, I screwed up. I misspoke," but she dug in.
I know. That's the thing about it. That's the thing that's really strange about that. She can never admit wrong. And she's never admitted wrong, even all the atrocious things that she said. But and you're right, she's a lunatic, but she has a constituency that believe her and like her. The district that she's in must be just full of lunatics, and that's basically, these Democrats. They only survive because of the voters. The voters believe it. They're uneducated. They're not very astute on what the Constitution is, so they keep voting these nuts in here. And it's more of a testament to the decay of our nation and our education system, and it just gets worse.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with it.
Anyway, let me say it like this. I know the individual in the YouTube just claimed what was said on the House is not suable. Okay. But by the way, she said it on CNN tonight. She admitted she said it on CNN. She wasn't on the House floor tonight.
Yeah.
And Murphy wasn't on the House floor when he said it. Murphy was in a think tank at Washington, D.C., so it is suable. So I disagree with the statement. You're right about it was on the House floor. It wasn't on the House floor when they said it. So I'll leave that be. Other thing I want to talk to you about.
Well, just before that, CNN obviously was worried about being sued because they pushed back on her for that. That's why Caitlin Collins. That's why she pushed back. She was worried she was going to get sued if she didn't. So
Jim Psaki last week slipped up and said Trump's a pedophile. He's a child molester. And then I'm not calling him a child molester. She knew exactly what was about to happen. She kept going. And the MSNBC executives were having to do the Holly maneuver on half the MSNBC board. They said, "We've already got to pay out enough, Jen. Shut up. Shut up."
She probably had somebody in her ear. Wait, don't do that.
Well, let me give you something more bizarre because I want to ask you about this Plaskett girl that was texting Epstein while they were. Branco, you got to admit, I mean, me and you, that's where we get along. We're just common sense guys, man. We're just common sense. We look at this stuff, we shake our head at it and laugh about it. But you had a sitting senator or sitting representative literally texting Jeffrey Epstein when he was alive, by the way, during a hearing when they were trying to get Michael Cohen to throw dirt on Trump. And Jasmine Crockett's explanation tonight, she said, "Well, I don't know why she was texting him. Maybe she was having a sex affair with him." I mean, she literally said this. I mean, this is how nutty this stuff gets. Trying to defend it, and Caitlin Collins again, she was just sitting there, and I mean, it has gotten so bizarre. But anyway, I think that the Epstein files are going to be the biggest albatross that's going to be hung around the Dems, and they can try all they want to throw it at Trump. It ain't on Trump. I challenge anybody out there, if they're listening to me tonight, find me another picture of Trump with Epstein other than that one photo that is spread all over the internet like manure. That's the only thing they got.
Have a video.
That's it.
They have a video, and then they have him dancing a little bit. That's the only two.
That's it.
But
that's it. All right.
That's it.
Other thing, more troubling. You got a judge tonight in Washington, D.C. that has ordered the National Guard out of D.C. after basically 3 months of D.C. becoming a safe place finally for the first time in 10 years. Why are these judicial judges? You've got this one doing this. You've got Brosberg trying to stop Trump with the immigration stuff. You've got other judges trying to strike down. I heard something so bizarre yesterday. There's a building right beside the White House, okay? Trump was going to paint it. Judge ruled that he couldn't paint a building. They're going to rule eventually, T, that he can't go to the bathroom. I don't know what's going to happen at some point, but these judges are going to rule that Trump can't even go to the bathroom. Something's got to be done, man. What's got to happen here? Goodness gracious!
I'm surprised they didn't rule against him redesigning the decor in the White House.
Oh, that's coming.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's coming.
Oh yeah, but this judicial tyranny. They're circumventing the will of the people. They're impeding Trump's ability to be president, and he's doing things. The majority he didn't hold back on what he was going to do when he became president. He was going to close the border. He was going to do this. He said we're going to get all the illegal immigrants out. We're going to first start with the criminals. And as soon as he started doing that, all these judges from everywhere just started coming out. Judges, these Democrat judges, don't want to see crime go down. They don't want to see illegal aliens leave the country. That's becoming more of their voter base, I believe, especially through mail-in voting. There's just an array of things that the judges. He's working for the American people, and the judges are working for the Democrat Party and their power. And their power exists with these illegal immigrants and the voting. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I read one post tonight. To impeach a judge, you got to have 67 votes. That's a pipe dream in the Senate. You're not going to get 14 Dems to even vote. We couldn't even censure Plaskett, man, because we had 6 rhino Republicans that jumped on board of the Dems and wouldn't even let us censor this woman exchanging text with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't care if they were playing footsie under the table or they were lovers or what. I don't believe that, but I don't care. Even if they were, it was inappropriate. It was wrong ethically and morally for a sitting representative to be doing that. And at that time, he had been arrested. He had been arrested and charged, and that this woman knew what kind of man Epstein was.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing this stuff on her island, for God's sake. We can't even impeach her. We can't even censor her, man. What is going to happen, Tony? I don't know. Is the Supreme Court going to have to step in at some point and stop this whole mess? I don't know if they're going to do it.
Yeah. The law doesn't matter to these Democrats, and these judges aren't real judges. They're just Democrats in black robes, communists in black robes. I believe they're just not. They're not going to. They're not going to stop what they're doing. And as far as the filibuster goes, the filibuster might solve some of this because we know what the Democrats are going to do when they get in there and they have the ability. They're going to do away with the filibuster. Why don't we do away with the filibuster while we have power and get our stuff in through, get it done?
Come on.
Because we're not going, the Republicans are not going to win in the midterms if we don't start getting stuff done and the GOP in Congress doesn't start marking up some wins to show and to run on.
That's why Kennedy,
it's like they're sleeping. We're running out of runway, and they're just sleeping. Like, oh well, like it's. I don't know.
That's what Kennedy said tonight. He got on the Senate floor and he basically told his GOP, and I'm not going to use the word he used, but they needed to get off something and they needed to start getting a bucket list ready because this shutdown, there's another shutdown looming, Tony, in just another 2 months. And he says, why don't we go ahead and deal with this now and get this stuff done before we get to this point? And I'm with you. I was not a big fan of dropping the filibuster at first, but then I thought about it. And, Trump made the greatest point about this. He said, you've got 3 years. We've got nothing to lose. Let's get everything codified in the law we can. And that way, even if they do crazy stuff in the Senate, then you've got something to hold your hat on to. And, I think that the Republicans need to go scorched earth. They've got nothing to lose.
Oh yeah,
at this
they have
point.
to because we don't have 3 years. We have
We don't.
less than a year.
That's
We have
true.
Less than a year before when voter opinion is going to be seeded by this coming July, if not sooner. Whatever they think about the Republicans, whatever they think about Trump, that's going to be stuck in their heads come November. And
I'm
if they
with
don't
you.
get off their rear ends and start doing something, marking up some wins and showing some real, I don't know, some real progress, they're in serious trouble.
I'm with you, buddy. We got about 10, 15 minutes left. I want to ask you a question about something that's going on more in the country domestically and on social media. You are a cartoonist and you deal with, putting ideas on paper and you've got your own podcast. Do you believe that there is a concentrated effort by the likes of, I know that since Charlie Kirk has died, there has been a fissure in the Republican base because there has been a lot of anti-Semitism that has seeped in on a lot of these right-wing podcasts, a lot of these right-wing voices, people that I would have never dreamed would be talking like they talk. I've read several opinions about it. I've read some people that believe it's just Tucker being Tucker, Candace being Candace. It's not just them. It's the Hodge twins. I could list a lot of big-name right-wing podcasters. Matt Gaetz, Dave Smith. He's a former comedian. He's out there. Nick Fuentes is the most vile individual as far as speaking some of the stuff he speaks. And I've got to go ahead and just get this off my chest with you, and I'll just ask you about it, how you feel about it. You may not see it this way. I'm very concerned, going back to what you just said about the midterms. If J.D. Vance doesn't stop hobnobbing with these anti-Semites, Tony, it's going to tear the MAGA movement to pieces. And in that vein, I do believe it is deliberate. I think Tucker Carlson and Candace both are trying to tear the MAGA movement to pieces. I think it's deliberate. I don't think it's by accident. I think that it goes beyond Israel. I know they're using Israel as their big ping pong ball, and it's easy to trash the Jews. It's easy to trash Israel. It's easy to trash that. It's bigger than that. And I'm just going to ask your opinion on it. Do you think all this is being done to destroy MAGA, or is it just a little Jew-hating talk, and we're just, you got a bunch of Jew-haters in the extreme far right of the party, which ain't good either way. Either answer ain't good. Neither is good.
I don't know if they're motivated by money, if there's some backdoor thing that they're making. I'm disappointed in Candace Owens. I'm disappointed in Tucker. Here's the problem I have with it. It's okay to criticize Israel. I mean, Israel's probably not perfect. Netanyahu is not perfect. I don't think he is. But when you contrast this to the Islamic takeover of the world, they've taken over Egypt. It used to be a Christian nation. They've taken over Syria. It used to be a Christian nation. They've taken over Lebanon. They've taken over Turkey. All these, it's this constant incursion of Islam, and you have this tiny little strip of land over there, and they know what they're up against. They're against Iran. You have Islam in our own countries taking over big chunks of our country in Michigan and in Minnesota, now New York. And you want to pick on Israel? There's something really wrong with that. Something's not right with that. And I'm telling you, if you're a spiritual believer in God, there's something really spiritual going on here against the Jews. And I'm not saying they're perfect and every move they make is right on, but contrast that with what's going on with Islam. These people have no women rights. They throw gays off of buildings. It's atrocious. If you don't agree with them or don't believe in their religion, you should be killed. It's even in their doctrine. And then you want to pick on Israel. That just doesn't make sense to me. I'm having a hard time with that.
I'm having a hard time with it too, and I let my opinions known every night on this show about it too, and sometimes it doesn't sit well. But, nothing sits well with anybody these days, Tony. I swear our country has
No.
become so divided and so offended. It's like, it is like a fissure. It's not just the Republican Party. I see this fissure right down the heart of the nation. This nation is being torn to pieces by violence, by this rhetoric. You've got your
I think purposely too.
Yeah.
Because majority of the United States used to be for Israel, used to be
very true.
pro-Jewish.
That's very true.
And now look at the protests. Look at you got kids celebrating and promoting Hezbollah and Hamas. These people are terrorists. If you take one of those LGBTQ people and send them over to Palestine or anywhere in where it's Islamic, they'd throw them off a building, and they're fighting for them. They're protesting for them. What is the matter with you guys? I'm just going, wow.
Yeah. We got 5 minutes, and folks, if you got I tell you what we'll do. We'll take a question or two. If you got something for Tony you want to ask him. Now, he ain't going to solve the Lindbergh baby situation, and he's not going to be able to fix the Rubik Cube for you. And he's not going to be able to give you advice on how to balance your checkbook or give you the latest movie reviews. But if you got a question, about the world that we've been talking about tonight, feel free to ask him a question. See how fun a host I am. See, you don't get this treatment anywhere else but on this McFiles Network, Branco. I'm telling you, man. But I do want to ask you something. I heard a story tonight that is just absolutely. It's an absolute disgusting shame what these judges are doing with these criminals. This guy, and I want to say it's Charlotte again, another man that had been arrested 13 times since 2017 and 7 times within the last year and a half, goes out. This is the second incident on a train. Goes out, pours liquid on a woman, and sets her on fire.
Oh, God.
And he should not have been on the streets. One judge in particular, has let this guy out 13 times. Is the judge culpable in this? Because, if I'm that family, I'm suing that judge. The lady survived. There was another incident. A lady walked into a Dollar General store just yesterday. Another convicted criminal that had been arrested 20 times and let go. 20 times, Tony. 20. He took a knife. He walks into the store with a knife and indiscriminately just walks up to this lady, slits her throat, kills her right on the spot. 20-year, 25, 26-year-old woman, mother. A life that's just snuffed out in a Dollar General store. Her crime was just shopping for her kids. Young woman. I'm going to tell you something, brother. This violence that's going on in this country, it is the worst. We talked about we've never seen the insurrection of the Dems, and it goes back to your cartoon here. The ICE are Nazis, MAGA are fascists, Trump is Hitler, and the fires of left-wing violence. And see, it's not just left-wing violence; it's violence in general, Tony. We got a lawless society, man. We have become a lawless America. And I don't know if there's an end to this because you got judges on the bench that don't care.
Well, you have judges that have been educated in higher learning in our colleges, universities, and they've been indoctrinated with this oppressor duality here. If you're black, you're an oppressed person. If you're white, you're an oppressor. So no matter how many crimes this black person does, he's oppressed. No matter, and if a gal gets her throat slit on a train or a bus, she's white, so she was an oppressor. She probably deserved it. This cancer that's in this brain of these liberals, and they made it to be judges, and they think through that prism constantly about everything. They think about it when they look at Trump. He's white, he's very wealthy, he's obviously an oppressor, and everybody else on the left are oppressed. And Islam, the way they look at Islam, every time Islam does something that's unsavory, well, they're oppressed. Islamophobe is the reason they're doing a lot of this stuff. It's just insanity, and I don't know how you cure that oppressor type of mentality. It's permeated our universities and our youth, and a lot of the voters in New York, obviously. So,
Well, I got one comment, and Leon, I respect your opinion, but give me a break that the judge has to follow the law and the problems of state legislators. You don't let somebody with a murderous past out 20 times and not expect them to go out there and murder again. You don't let a criminal out 16, 17, 18, and they keep committing crimes. That's not on the state legislature, Leon. That's on the judge. The judge. Am I right, Tony?
I was wondering why Soros was dumping all this money into these prosecutors and judge elections. I couldn't figure out. I said, what's the big deal with judges and prosecutors in all these different cities and different countries? Well, now we know. We know why he was doing it, because this is subverting our laws, and it's all designed, I believe, to wreak havoc on the population and to destroy it. I hate it. It's so obvious. There's no reason why you would let murderers out. There's no reason why.
No reason. The first time that man commits a violent crime, whether it's assault, rape, murder, because, Tony, this is the thing. There ain't no laws on the book that I can know about tonight, unless I'm just living in La La Land and I'm living in some kind of twilight zone, that there shouldn't be a state in our union that doesn't have a mandatory sentence. When you kill somebody, you usually go to prison for life. You usually go to prison for 50 years or 60, or at least go to prison. You let somebody out 20 times. That's not the law, neighbor. That is the judge. That is these Marxist judges. And I got to say this. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. It's not all women, but the two incidences that I've just described tonight were women judges. And I'll just leave that alone, because there's some men that are doing it too.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll just leave this alone. And this Democrat, and you look at, and I know it shouldn't matter who appoints them. It shouldn't matter whether it's a Trump judge, an Obama judge, a Biden judge, Clinton judge. The law is the law, is the law, is the law, is the law. That lady of justice that we see in our courtrooms, she's got a blindfold over her eyes because the law is the same. But you can't tell me that it's the law wrong when somebody is out 20 times after being brutally murderous and violent with somebody. They're going to do it again. That's common sense, Tony. Me and you ain't even lawyers. And that's just common sense.
Right.
And let me just say this, because I don't want Leon thinking I'm ragging on him. Leon, I get what you're trying to say, but the concept of that is wrong. It's flawed. Because
absolutely,
it's flawed because the judge has jurisdiction over the law in that courtroom. I'm going to tell you what I'd have done. The first time that jackanapes, and I got another word for him, came into my courtroom and he had assaulted somebody or done something like that in a negative way, he was not going to see the freaking light of day, at least for the maximum sentence. And I'm going to tell you, most maximum sentences, Tony, for violent crimes are 20 to 30 years minimum.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, Leon, I'm not mad with you about this, but this whole legal system, people are dying and they're getting killed and murdered over it, Tony. It burns me up, man, because this is where our nation is tonight. This is where our nation's at. And we better wake up to it. It's coming to New York City.
I think it's by design.
I do too.
That's why I think it's by design. The permissiveness and again, I think it goes back to this oppressor versus oppressed mentality, to where it's not based on law. It's not based on, okay, you did A, so you get B, or you did D, so you get whatever the law says. It's whether or not you're black, whether or not you're Hispanic, whether or not you're white, whether or not you're Chinese. It's all based on other things other than the actual law with these judges. How did that happen? That's where... and that's what's happening with It's in Virginia. It's in a district where there's heavily Democrat. He's probably not going to see the amount of justice he should, according to the law. It's going to be based on this judge that is a Clinton appointed judge or Biden appointed judge. I can't remember which, but she seems like she's in the favor of Comey, which she shouldn't be in the favor of anybody.
That's right. That's right.
Should be against anybody. She should be looking at the law, how it's read, how it comes out, and who makes the better case.
Well, I'm sure we're going to see you before Christmas, but I want to talk with you next program about this redistricting situation in Texas and California and this fight, because these judges are getting involved in that, which I do not believe that is a judicial matter. It's a legislative matter. It's a voter matter. And I don't know where this is going to end. And, Leon, you're saying the parole board initiatives is what's causing this. Baloney. I don't think it has nothing to do. A judge can sentence somebody long enough, and they can put a stipulation on the sentence. You're not eligible for parole until Chris McDonald is in his grave, which is hopefully going to be 30 years from now, or
Hopefully.
or before Chris McDonald becomes good looking, which that'll be never. I'm telling you something. It wouldn't do for me to be a judge, Branco. I just look at this stuff through common sense lens.
There's no fear. There's no fear in these criminals.
That's exactly, you just nailed it right there. They do this criminal stuff because even if they commit cold-blooded murder and they're seen on camera doing it, Tony, in our legal system right now, buddy, it's a 50-50 shot. They're going to walk. They're going to walk.
Remember when people used to be afraid of even committing a crime by accident, killing somebody by accident or anything. People had a fear of the law. I don't see that fear of the law anymore. And that's basically these Soros-appointed judges, most of them, or liberal-appointed judges. Some of them are even, I believe, Reagan. There was a couple of Reagan-appointed judges, so they must have become liberalized at some point.
Well, being that the Republicans have control of both houses right now, if they fail to get this right, Tony, I'm going to tell you something. The nation's going to lose because the Democrats, once they get back in power, I hate to tell the Republican Party, you ain't seeing power no more.
No,
they will do to you. Look, they're so mad right now. It's a scary thought to know what they're about.
You thought you saw lawfare before.
Goodness gracious. It's really. But they can stop this train of lawlessness. The House and the Senate can, if they'll become men and get something below and between their legs tonight and do what they're supposed to do. And I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. I don't mean to be so blunt about it, but it's frustrating. But what's really killing me is to see innocent people suffer and die because judges don't have a brain in their body and they are lawless themselves. You can't very well put a lawless judge over a bench and expect the criminal to respect the law. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because that judge is the he is the jurisdiction in that courtroom, and he can sentence whatever he wants to, and he can put any stipulation on that sentence that he wants to under the Constitution. And there ain't a law in this land that says if you kill somebody that you've got to automatically be eligible for parole. I've heard too many judges say you are sentenced to life without the possibility of a parole that comes out of their mouth. And that's how it needs to be, Tony.
They have this displaced compassion. These judges, they get into this position of power, and then all of a sudden they have this compassion. But the problem with their compassion is directed at the wrong person, not directed towards the victim. It seems to be always leaning towards the perpetrator. And that's what's changed a lot. And I get back to this oppressor versus oppressed mentality. They have their compassion muscle bending in the wrong direction.
Yep. Well, it's been an interesting chit-chat session with you. We always have a good time here. Comicallyincorrect.com is your website. I'm going to give you a few minutes. Wrap us up, man. Final thoughts. Good stuff tonight. I always enjoy having you. And this sort of, our next few weeks, we're going to be sort of sporadic on our show. So I'm glad we got you in before the Thanksgiving break. And
Yes,
It's so good to see. We'll get you on in December before Christmas. Now, where do I send my redneck gift to you for Christmas? I'm just gonna, you're gonna give me my Christmas gift from you is going to be a 2025 McFile edition of a Tony Branco cartoon. And I just want you to make me look as young and as good looking as you can, okay? And as
well,
and just,
I don't. I generally tell the truth in my cartoons, so I think you're in trouble. Just kidding.
just draw a graveyard with guys chasing me with shovels. That'd be something funny. Made me laugh. The dumb foolery had me going. I've even got a cup. Somebody bought me a cup with the dumb foolery thing on it. So, I got the dumb foolery cup still in my cabinet. That was a good one.
Nice.
That was a good one.
Nice.
But final thoughts, buddy. Wrap us up tonight.
Well, I'm just saying, I have a site called comicallyincorrect.com. Personally, I'm not a comedian, but I draw cartoons that sometimes can be funny. Not usually funny on purpose, but yeah, and I also have a store, Branco Toon Store.
Okay.
BrancoToonStore.com. If you're looking for that a gift for Christmas, just check it out. I got T-shirts, I got flags. I have my 2026 calendar.
Oh, okay.
Also on Amazon, I just came out with a Christmas book.
Look at that.
Trump's Night Before Christmas.
Look at there.
I'll just read a little bit.
Awesome.
'Twas the night before Christmas when near Eagle Pass, illegals were crossing the border in mass. The backpacks were hung from their shoulders with care in hopes that coyotes soon would be there. And it's full of my cartoons. And
That's awesome.
It's great. That's all kinds of stuff in there.
I'm gonna go. My wife asked me what did I want for Christmas this week, and you just give me a gift to put on that list, Branco. I'm going to get my copy of that. That's awesome. We should send it to our liberal friends. That would be a good Christmas gift for our liberals.
Go buy a bunch of my calendars on BrancoToonStore.com and send them out to your liberal buddies.
We will do that. I'm going to say goodbye to these folks tonight and Sue some feathers. Listen, I love you, man. I appreciate you. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very thankful for you and our friendship, and I will see you again next month. And have a good night, man. God bless Tony.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Tony Branco, everybody. Put some power in that house. We're grateful for him. That is a good man right there. He is a comedian. I think he's pretty funny myself. We're grateful that you're here tonight, and we're going to have a late show, so I'm not going to keep you much longer right now. We're going to talk about the legal situation. I think we've got a video or two of the judge that let this monster out. Folks, I'm just a no-nonsense kind of guy about this legal stuff. This why we've got a lawless society is because we're letting criminals go through a revolving door. And I do not buy for 1 second that it's any initiative or their hands are tied. It's a crock of crap. That's an excuse. No, their hands are not tied. There's not a judge in this country, if you commit a violent crime, that can sit there and you can tell me that they cannot sentence somebody to a lengthy jail sentence. And in some cases, they've got the discretion. It's called discretion. They're under the jurisdiction of the law. They can send, even if there's a maximum sentence of 30 years, give them 30. I'll put it like this. If this blanking monster would have been sentenced to 30 years or 20 years when he did this the first time, you'd have a woman not doused with fire tonight. You would have the woman in Dollar General alive going home to her family for Thanksgiving. She's dead tonight. She's dead. 20 times. 20 times. That's not an initiative. That's lawless judicial tyranny. So, you can believe what you want to believe. This is the McFiles. This is my opinion show. And that's how I feel about it. And if you're a judge out there and you'd like to come on our show and tell me different, come on. You got my email. Come on. People are dying. They're dying unnecessarily because of this stuff. It's got to stop. It's not going to, sadly, because we got people behind these benches that are just plain full of the devil. Just plain full of the devil. Plain full of the devil. Plain full of the devil. All righty. Good to see everybody tonight. And Roger says we've got, let me read this. Roger, you say we have got congressmen and women telling our service people and intelligence agencies not to follow. Yeah, Roger, we talked about that tonight. We talked about that tonight. And we talked about it being planned with Branco. He said all those things, but thank you for that. We've actually talked about that. But anyway, I'm glad you've been with me tonight. And look, folks, this is why we are the McFiles. I've got my own opinion, and I can yell a little bit. It don't mean that I don't like those that don't have the same opinion. I love you guys, no matter what opinion you got. But I think we'd better come to some common sense. I think we better come to grips with some things right now. We're about to lose this nation. I'm not sure we ain't already lost it. People are dying, folks. You can't even walk to your mailbox without being worried about being mugged. Can't go into a Walmart with even a 20-year-old son. Even when KK and I go to the store together sometimes, even at this late day of his life, I get nervous with my 22-year-old walking in the store with me. I don't mean to be so funny about it, and it's terrible that we've reached this place in this society, but we are literally living in lawless, dangerous times in real time. And I'm not being sarcastic. This is not a knock at you, Leon, in any way, buddy. I get your point. I understand where you're coming from. But I want you to say to this family tonight about this mother that got knifed to death by a 20-time convicted felon that had been let out 20 times. 20. And tell them that their loved one is dead tonight because the bail reform initiative is wrong. And again, that's not being sarcastic to you, because Elon, I know that you're not the only one that believes that. That's the mentality of many in this society tonight, that we want to blame the system and we want to blame this. We need to lay it at the foot of the judges. Of the judges that have the jurisdiction in that courtroom. And if there's any states out there, you live in states, and you don't have mandatory sentences for violent crime, I don't know there's too many states that don't, unless it's liberal Loon Loon Bomb California, or Loon Loon Bomb Oregon, or Loon Loon Bomb Seattle, Washington, or Loon Loon Bomb New York, or Connecticut, or Rhode Island, or Maine, or one of those liberal havens up in the Northeast. I'm a little wired up about this stuff tonight. I read that story tonight. Burns me up. 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 We're glad to see everybody. I don't know what, I know that some of you are noticing you've got different names in the chat. I don't know what's causing that tonight. It started doing that. It may be a YouTube update thing, but we know who you are out there. Cleo, good to see you tonight. We're glad to have Cleo in the house with us. Bless you, friend. We need to pray for Australia tonight. Australia is going through the same thing. Canada's going through this same thing. Several nations are going through it. I'm not done tonight. It's 9:20 in the East. I'm going to let you go. Did you enjoy Tony Branco? If you did, put some fire in the house. Now, McDonald's already wired up. It's 9:20. I don't know what I'm going to be by this time around 11:30 tonight. But it's either me or Fallon or Kimmel or I don't know who else is on late night these days. So come on back. We'll chin wag and talk and show you some video at 11 tonight. Talk about what we talked about with Tony Branco with you tonight. Show you some of these clips. Keep you about 45 minutes to an hour. I promise. It's late. We did good last night. We got you out of here right after midnight. But we got a lot more because the reason I'm doing double shows this week, we got a sort of a holiday week coming up next week for Thanksgiving, and we're going to be taking Thursday and Fridays, not Friday night, but we'll take Thursday night off, and we'll have a special face show on Wednesday night. So we're really only going to have 2 shows next week, Monday night and Tuesday night. Ricky Wilson will be with us Monday. Not sure who we're going to have Tuesday. We're working on that. But we've had a jam-up week already. We've had James Akers, Brad Johnson, now Tony Branco, and just grateful for these 3 gentlemen that have graced our show this week. They're the best of the crew, or best of many of the. We've got best guests. There ain't none that are better than others, but we had the cream of the crop this week, and we're grateful for them being with us. And we'll have Ricky Wilson on Monday night. She's a jewel too, and she's got some things to say. She has got some things on her heart. She said that she's really burdened to say. And so be with us Monday night. It'll be 7 o'clock Monday. She has to go early. And but I will be back with you later tonight. And then we will have a Friday night show tomorrow night. It may be faith related, but it won't hurt you to have a little faith. I think we might need a little bit of that right now. We need the way this country's going. We need an exorcism. Oh, if you're an exorcist out there, give me a holler. We might need to bring you on this network and have you cast some devils out of this nation. Oh, Lord have mercy. God bless you. God bless this nation. God bless the great U.S. of A. God bless you, your families, and God bless the great nation of America. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem tonight. Thank you, Tony Branco. Good stuff tonight. Get his books, comicallyincorrect.com, brancostore.com. That calendar and that little "'Twas the night before Trump night before Christmas," that looked cute. So anyway, put some fire in that house. I'll be back here tonight. We'll go at it again. Maybe I'll be wired down before we get back here. I hope so. Good Lord have mercy. God bless you guys out there. You know I love you. Grateful to have you tonight. Put some fire in that house, and I'll see you back here in a few hours, okay? God bless. Have a good night, everybody.